already lost this case. This whole case was about PR. This case began, and I believe including her complaint with the California Civil Rights Department, it began because when they launched this movie, It Ends With Us, which is about domestic abuse.
Yes. Who would trust her? Meanwhile, I would happily put money in Justin Baldoni's pocket. I'll pay to see whatever he does next, just as a vote in the culture. Like, I don't like this. And by the way, Blake is hurting other women. Every time someone this high profile lies about sexual harassment, you set the rest of real victims back. So
because you know you have a limited amount of time, you have all these cameras pointing at you, and all you could think about, or all I could think about in that moment was like, is she joking now? You know, are they doing this for real?
That we were among those targeted by Blake Lively. Yes, she actually tried to get the confidential and proprietary materials my team and I used for any and all stories about her. Because Blake Lively was unable to fathom that yours truly had developed a genuine revulsion toward her on my own, she posited that I must have been ensnared in Baldoni's alleged ongoing smear campaign against her.
Megyn Kelly just ended Blake Lively's entire game in under 30 minutes. She sat down, looked straight into the camera, and dismantled every lie, every PR trick, and every fake empowerment moment Blake Lively has been selling the public for months. Then Greg Gutfeld walked in and buried whatever was left, because a judge just threw out 10 of her 13 claims, and that is not a bad day in court. That is a public humiliation. But the court ruling was only one side of the destruction. Kelly and Gutfeld came in from a completely different angle and tore apart everything the judge did not even need to touch. The woman who tried to make herself untouchable just got touched. Hard. And the worst part for her? Kelly hinted this is only the beginning. So buckle up, because what these two just exposed is going to change how you see Blake Lively permanently.
Just in the last 30 minutes or so, at a court hearing that was happening as we're on the air, wrapping up for this huge Hollywood legal fight between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, after this federal judge tossed out late today most of Lively's claims in this sexual harassment suit against Baldoni.
Start with the court ruling, because this is where Blake Lively's entire house of cards started falling. She walked in swinging like she was untouchable. 13 claims, harassment, defamation, every weapon she could find. She sold the world a story so perfectly packaged that questioning her made you the villain. The media fell in line, the public followed, and for months it worked like a charm. Then a judge actually opened the file, and what happened next was not a setback, it was a slaughter. 10 claims thrown out, not paused, not reconsidered, killed, gone. When you lose 70% of your case in a single ruling, you are not a victim seeking justice anymore. You are a strategist whose strategy just blew up on live television. 3 claims survived, barely. But the damage was already done, and Megyn Kelly was watching every second of it.
Battle. Baldoni just got a huge win in court when a federal judge dropped 10 of the 13 complaints Lively brought against him. The 2 big ones that were dropped were harassment and defamation.
I think this is I feel like it's over. It's over. The judge tossed the meat of her complaint, the spine of the only stuff that had real teeth. And I remember reading this New York Times story when it came out. And I think that the court of public opinion was more like 90-10, like it was so detailed.
It's true.
And the things she was alleging were so awful and specific. And when
Kelly came out on her podcast and did not just criticize Blake Lively, she gutted her. No pleasantries, no media-safe language, no pretending there are 2 equal sides to this. She said what millions of people had been screaming into their screens for months, but no public figure had the spine to say. This was never about justice. This was a performance, start to finish. Blake Lively did not behave like a woman carrying real pain. She behaved like a woman carrying a script. Every word was focus grouped. Every social media post dropped at the perfect moment. Every interview answer was so polished it practically had a shine on it. And Kelly drove the knife in on the one point nobody can argue with. Real pain is ugly. Real suffering does not come with a content calendar. When someone is genuinely broken, you hear it in the cracks, the pauses, the moments where the mask slips. Blake Lively never cracked, not once. And that is not strength, that is acting. The public did not turn on her because the internet is cruel. They turned on her because she treated the entire country like an audience too dumb to know the difference between a victim and a brand launch.
Already lost this case. This whole case was about PR. are. This case began, and I believe including her complaint with the California Civil Rights Department, it began because when they launched this movie, It Ends With Us, which is about domestic abuse.
Then Kelly hit the part nobody else had the guts to touch, the shield. Blake Lively did not just file a case. She wrapped herself in women's empowerment, harassment awareness, and every cause that makes you untouchable the moment someone questions you. That was the entire play. Attach yourself to a cause so deeply that any criticism of you becomes an attack on the cause itself. For months, anyone who raised a question was immediately labeled anti-woman or pro-harassment. The shield held, until the court ruling shattered it. Because a judge does not care about your Instagram aesthetic or your empowerment hashtags. A judge looks at evidence. And the evidence said most of what Lively presented was not enough. Once that shield is gone, you are standing with nothing between you and the truth. And that is the moment she never planned for. Now here is something that should raise every alarm. An insider claims Megyn Kelly privately described what is happening around Blake Lively as bigger than what people are seeing. Kelly does not drop hints for entertainment. When she says the public has not seen the full picture, that means there are layers that have not surfaced. And if even half of what she is suggesting is true, the court ruling and the backlash are just the opening chapter.
That we were among those targeted by Blake Lively. Yes, she actually tried to get the confidential and proprietary materials my team and I used for any and all stories about her. Because Blake Lively was unable to fathom that yours truly had developed a genuine revulsion toward her on my own, she posited that I must have been ensnared in Baldoni's alleged ongoing smear campaign against her.
Then Gutfeld stepped in. And if Kelly was the surgeon, Gutfeld was the wrecking ball. He did not just go after Lively, he went after the entire machine that made her possible. His argument was devastating. Blake Lively is not special. She is what happens when celebrities figure out that attaching yourself to the right cause at the right time makes you bulletproof. The cause becomes a costume. You wear it when you need protection and take it off when it stops being useful. And the real victims, the people who actually need these movements to be taken seriously, they pay the price every single time someone like Lively turns their pain into a personal brand.
Welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. So people have been transfixed by this Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni lawsuit back and forth. They were obviously in the hit blockbuster, It Ends With Us, and that's based on the Colleen Hoover book. And Colleen Hoover's books are apparently like if crack and meth.
Gutfeld then turned on the media, and this is where it got truly ugly. From day one, the coverage was not reporting. It was cheerleading. Every major outlet picked a side before a single fact was verified. And now that a judge has thrown out the majority of her claims, where are the corrections? Where are the retractions? They are nowhere, because those outlets did not make a mistake. They made a choice. They chose narrative over truth. And now they are sitting in silence, hoping nobody holds them accountable. That is not journalism. That is cowardice with a logo. Another insider detail that tells you how serious this got. Kelly became visibly furious discussing Lively off camera, so angry she had to step away before continuing. This is a woman who sat across from Donald Trump in a presidential debate and did not flinch. And this story pushed her past that threshold. That tells you this is not performance. Kelly believes something deeply wrong happened here, and she is nowhere close to done. The fallout also hit places that thought they were safe. Sunny Hostin found herself getting pushed back on in ways she was not ready for. The usual playbook of shutting down dissent by turning every challenge into a moral offense stopped working. And when the spaces designed to protect a narrative start failing on live television, the collapse behind the scenes is always worse.
In one exchange, Lively apologizes for being so caught up in the lawsuit and said she felt a shift in their friendship. And Swift responds that their chats have felt like a mass corporate email sent to 200 employees and that I miss my dark, funny, normal speaking friend. Take it away.
So I actually found this discussion between them very relatable for being...
Insiders confirmed exactly that. Production teams were reportedly at war over how one-sided the coverage had become. The problem was that it was actively insulting the intelligence of audiences who could see the court documents themselves. And the moment your audience knows more than your hosts are willing to admit, trust does not erode, it drops off a cliff.
Because you know you have a limited amount of time, you have all these cameras pointing at you, and all you could think about, or all I could think about in that moment was like, is she joking now? You know, are they doing this for real? it didn't really, it couldn't sink in that they were actually being that rude. And while I was sitting there, first I was like, okay, this is not happening. And then I started getting a bit angry, and then I started getting frustrated, and I was like, I just want this to be over.
Lively's own team was reportedly blindsided by the dismissals scale. The expectation was the case would hold long enough to keep the sympathy machine running. But losing 10 claims in one ruling destroyed every calculation. The legal strategy and PR strategy were built on the same assumption: the case would survive. When it collapsed, both fell apart simultaneously. There is no statement, no interview, no post that fixes a two-front collapse happening in real time.
Talk about Lively's claims 1, 2, and 5 together, because they were all alleged against Wayfarer, and it ends with Us Movie LLC, which again, we're just going to shorten to Movie LLC. That's just way too long a name for this video. And anyway, we're also going to talk about all of these together because the court actually dismissed all 3 of them for essentially the same reason. Just so we're all on the same page, Claim 1 alleged sexual harassment in violation of federal Title VII. Claim 2 was retaliation for that alleged harassment, also under Title VII. And Claim 5 was
Kelly and Gutfeld came from different directions but landed in the same place. When you take real suffering and real movements and turn them into your personal weapon, you do not just risk your own credibility, you burn the ground for every genuine victim who comes after you. Every woman who files a real harassment claim now fights through extra skepticism that people like Lively created. That is the cost, and it is not paid by the person who caused it. It is paid by the people who can least afford it. Both made one thing clear: if you demand accountability from the world, you do not get to be exempt from it yourself. And right now, Blake Lively is drowning in the exact accountability she spent months aiming at everyone else.
Yes. Who would trust her? Meanwhile, I would happily put money in Justin Baldoni's pocket. I'll pay to see whatever he does next, just as a vote in the culture. Like, I don't like this. And by the way, Blake is hurting other women. Every time someone this high profile lies about sexual harassment, you set the rest of real victims back. So
anyway, so the second claim to survive the MSJ was one that we already talked about. This was claim number 7, aiding and abetting for retaliation against Tag only. Remember that this aiding and abetting claim was dismissed as to the individuals, but the court has allowed it to proceed as to Tag. And so that leads me to the final claim to survive, which is claim 9. That's breach of the contract writer agreement, which is against the Movie LLC only. Specifically, Lively alleged that the Movie LLC breached the—
This was never just about a court ruling. It was the moment a perfectly built illusion smashed into a reality that did not care about PR strategies or empowerment hashtags. Kelly ripped the mask off the strategy. Gutfeld ripped the mask off the system. The court ripped the mask off the facts. 3 claims remain, and if the first 10 could not survive the light of day, the last 3 are carrying a weight they were never built to hold. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I will see you in the next one.